Hey everybody, Shagdog here. Spit and Swallow beer review. Just drinking some Yuengling. And me, Diddy, and Jose they're talking about best basketball players ever, greatest teams, stuff like that. So tonight I decided to do the 10 greatest running backs of all time, but they're not I don't think these as the 10 greatest running backs. It's just my 10 favorite. Some of these guys probably don't even belong in the top 20 or the top 10 or top 2 or 3. Who knows? Whatever you think is the best. But they're just my favorite. And I excluded people like Jim Brown that I didn't see play. Gale Sayers, Jim Brown, anybody way back then, 60s, early 70s. I didn't include any of them. And these are just my favorites. It's not the top. I don't think these guys are the top 10 of all time. Matter of fact, my number 10 might not even be in the top 50. But I like watching them. All right, so with that, I'm going to go with my sip of beer real quick. Yeah. My number 10, right there, folks. Mike Alstott of the Bucks. I mean, I'd probably put him higher if he had better records, but better career statistics. But he just didn't have that. Plus, he split some time for a couple of years with Warwick Dunn. Did have a couple injuries, especially towards the end of his career. He had a neck injury, which slowed him down a lot. But at least he's got a Super Bowl ring. And then he shared the backfield that time with Michael Pittman. So he didn't get as enough playing time as I would like him to have, but he was fun to watch. The A-Train. I moved down here to Tampa area in 1997, and it was the first year they had their new uniforms too. And I knew who Mike Alstott was. I say a little bit about him, and he was just fun to watch. That's my number 10. All right. My number 9, we'll go ahead and close this one out. My number 9 of all time, or my number favorite, is no other than, if I could find him, I'm trying to close that Mike Alstott screen. Jesus, I'm gonna get drunk or something. It's hard doing this stuff live, trust me. My number 9, my favorite, you can see him there. I didn't pull up any particular picture of him, but Herschel Walker, the great Herschel Walker. Matter of fact, he's number 9 on my list here, but I consider him one of my all-time favorite athletes of all time. He's done the bobsled, Olympic bobsled. He's a track and field, especially when he was in college. He's one of the fastest men in the NFL. He did the USFL for 3 seasons. They don't include that yardage in the NFL. If they did, he'd be in the top 5 for total rushing yards, top 5 or 6, and he'd be in like the number 1 all-time all-purpose yardage, like number 1 or 2 or something. He'd be up there. Especially with kicking yards that he had in that return kicks and punts. He was great. Herschel Walker, of course, everybody remembers him for the great Dallas trade that people say gave the Dallas Cowboys 3 Super Bowl rings. They traded him to Minnesota. But really, they didn't get too much back, I don't think, from that trade. I think they got 2 quality players out of the drafts for that. It's not like it was as big as it was. I mean, yeah, they did get a lot of draft picks and shit for that. But anyhow, let's go to number 8. All right. If I can find it, number 8 is going to be, yes, that's what I thought it was. And I might have missed some folks on it. I mean, there's a lot of great running backs, and I tried to pick them all, but even the ones I thought were pretty good, I didn't see enough of them on TV or whatever, But it's through the years, the ones I like. So this one is always wonderful. Thurman Thomas of the Buffalo Bills. One of the faces of the Bills teams that lost 4 straight Super Bowls, Thomas was a 5-time Pro Bowler. That's all. 1991 MVP. He had a stretch of 8 straight seasons with 1,000-yard rushing and was also an excellent receiver with 4,458 receiving yards for his career. He's still the 10th all-time rusher with 16,532 yards from scrimmage over his 13-year career, which is a pretty long career. And Thurman Thomas, I mean, the Bill. If you think about those 4 years, the Bills won the Super Bowl, lost all of them. They should have definitely won the one against the Giants. They should have at least won that one. But anyhow, some great teams. They had a great defense too with Bruce Smith. They had Cornelius Bennett, Shane Collin, linebacker core. What the hell's the other guy's name was on defensive line? They had a great front seven. They had really good defense too. So I don't know how the Cowboys put such an ass whooping on them in the Super Bowls, but all right, the next one is so that was Thurman Thomas. He was what, number 9? Number 8. Let's see here. Oh, shit. I lost that channel. How did I lose that channel? There we go. Jesus, I hate this shit. So number 8 is... most of these guys are still alive, huh? Shit. And this guy was really fun to watch, too. He's like a Mike Alstott, a little bit more bruisier, I guess. I can't put all the bruisers in there. But there you go. Earl the Pearl Campbell. Earl Campbell's career was a brief but spectacular. First overall pick in 1978 drafted by the Houston Oilers. Campbell led the league in rushing each of his first 3 seasons. He peaked with 1,934 yards rushing in his third season. Rushed for more than 1,300 yards 5 times in total. The 1978 MVP broke down just a few years into his career and lasted a total of only 8 seasons. Finished his career with the Saints in 1985. So, I mean, yeah. That happens. Didn't last long, like a lot of running backs. It's a tough job, man. But he did a great job. He was another fun one to watch. And that's what I like. It's not about statistics, really. It's about people I love to watch and at their prime, Then the next one is going to be number 6. Number 6. If I can find him. There he is. Ah, shit. Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson's NFL career started as a tidal wave for the Rams, rushed for at least 5 1,200 yards in 7 consecutive seasons and being named an All-Pro 5 times, moving from LA to Indianapolis in the process. During that period, he led the league in rushing 4 times and rushed for a record 2,105 yards in the sophomore season of 1984. He still ranks 8th all-time in rush yards, but had an early breakdown at age 29 and struggled over his final 4 seasons in the league. But he has the most yards in a single season, right? I think he still has that record, right? God, I might be having a little bit of dyslexia or amnesia. But Eric Dickerson, he's another fun to watch when he was with the Colts, Rams and the Colts. He's with the Rams and he went to the Colts, but still fun to watch all the way until he retired, even though his last 4 years weren't that great. And let's see who's next. Now, that's one of my favorites. If I can find them. Tony Dorsett. Dorsett had a prolonged level of elite productivity from the time he was drafted second overall by the Cowboys in 1977 until 1985, which is a year longer than Earl Campbell, actually. Rushing for at least 1,100 yards 7 times and making 4 Pro Bowls. Four Pro Bowls. While Dorsett never led the league in rushing, he still stands as the 9th leading rusher all time in his 12-year NFL career in Dallas and Denver. He only played for Denver for 1 or 2 years or something. Now I'm trying to see when this article came out, 2018. So I don't know if that still stands. Oh shit. This article is 2 years old almost, but still one of my favorites. They got him on here as number 11, but in my book, his number, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5, right? Number 5 in my book. I loved watching him. He had the longest run from scrimmage against the Minnesota Vikings, 99 yards for a touchdown. He's one of those type of, what the hell's that Murray guy that played for the Cowboys? He's gone already. Played for the Cowboys, had a really good year, then left free agency, went to the Eagles, and then he sucked, and then he retired because that's what happens when you do the free agency thing. It's karma, called karma. But Dorsett's a similar type runner, straight up, shoot through the whole runner. Ain't all this Barry Sanders stuff behind the line or any of that stuff. A little bit, but not much. It's more straight. He wasn't bend over using power. He was just and he had like elusive speed too. He didn't even look like he was running fast, but I think he was. He's like a workhorse, a typical workhorse right there, a thoroughbred. Yeah. All right, so there's Tony Dorsett. As you can see, number 11 on that page, but in my book, number 5. All right, so now my number 4, and he only barely beats Dorsett. And that is Marshall Faulk. And the only reason Marshall Faulk, to me, watching him being a running back, it was okay. Don't get me wrong. But he was like a true running back receiver, Led the league in NFL in rushing, but he was perhaps the most dynamic running back the league has ever seen with the hands of a wide receiver. Faulk had 6,875 receiving yards in 12 seasons, finishing his career with more than 19,000 yards from scrimmage, 4th all-time. A 7-time Pro Bowler with 3-time All-Pro. He sparked the Rams' turnaround in 1999 when an improbable Super Bowl. Following season, Faulk won MVP with 2,189 yards from scrimmage and 26 touchdowns. Faulk still ranks 7th all-time in touchdowns. So that's a pretty good feat right there. So that was number 4. Number 3, folks. Number 3, and thank God I got to watch him play. Was Walter Payton. Mr. Walter Payton. Payton didn't play in an era of offensive like we've seen over the past 20 years in the NFL. Yeah, he still ranks 2nd all-time in rush yards, 4th in rushing touchdowns, and 6th in rushing yards per game over his 13-year career with the Bears from 1975 to 1987. His honors include 9 Pro Bowls, selections, and 1 MVP award. And as you can see right below him, I'll do some honorable mentions before we get to the top 2. Jim Brown. I didn't see Jim Brown play. That's why he's not on my list. He's probably one of the greatest, definitely in the top 4 or 5. Couple ones on my list here. Marshall. Oh, we got Marshall. LaDainian Tomlinson. Adrian Peterson. Definitely good. Gale Sayers, of course, like I said, these are only people I've watched, and he was way before my time. I got Earl, got Tony. O.J. Simpson, never really seen O.J. play, even though it was in the 70s. I'm not sure what time he retired. But it was before I didn't start watching football until like 78, 77, 78. Franco Harris, another one. I did see Franco Harris play a little bit, but I can't quite remember it. 77, 78, those Super Bowl years with Steelers. I remember it a little bit, but not much. Tony Dorsett, because he was still with the Cowboys all the way up to 85, 87, whatever year it was. And Thurman Thomas, definitely watched. Curtis Martin, I've seen him play. Honorable mention. Edgerrin James, a whole bunch of them, folks. There you go. Just went through the whole list right there. Now, number two. I'm just going to stay on that same page and scroll all the way down and just show you. Number 2, Barry Sanders. Sanders rushed for 15,269 yards in only 10 NFL seasons, leading the league in rushing 4 times. Like Jim Brown, he made the Pro Bowl during every season of the NFL career and was also a 6-time All-Pro and MVP winner in 1997 when he rushed more than 2,000 yards. Sanders still ranks 3rd in rushing yards, 9th in rushing touchdowns, and 8th in yards per rush attempt. If not for his shocking retirement following the 1998 season at age 31, Sanders very well could be considered the greatest running back ever, and I would put him at number 1 if he didn't retire. Of course, for as many years he played for Detroit, he should have tried to get the hell out of there earlier, but he should have kept playing. He could have gotten another 3 or 4 years at least. But he would be number 1. But he's not because of that. 10 years, he could have been like this guy. Emmitt Smith, number 1 to me, folks. I know he wasn't the flashiest. He wasn't like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders lost a lot of yards too. But Emmitt Smith was not flashy, not real powerful. I mean, probably had a little bit of elusive power, but and they always say the greatest offensive line. But I say, well, how can you test that theory? Put Barry Sanders on there, see if Barry Sanders still be running around in the backfield because he didn't know how to find holes or something. I don't know. Emmitt Smith, best all time. I don't care if they try to say, well, he had the greatest offensive line of all time. I mean, there's a lot of great offensive lines out there, and the running back doesn't do that great. I give all the credit to Emmitt. 99.9%. 0.1% goes to the offensive line. Stop ripping Emmitt Smith off because of the offensive line. He just luckily to have a good one that you can think of. Maybe some of these guys had good offensive lines too. They just didn't stand out. All-time leader rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Smith was a tremendous back during his 15 NFL seasons, 5 more than Barry had. 13 coming with the Cowboys. He led the league in rushing 4 times, made 8 Pro Bowls, won an MVP on top of his 3 Super Bowl rings. However, it should be known that Smith played behind one of the best offensive lines ever in Dallas and averaged just 4.2 yards per carry for his career, surpassing 5.0 yards per carry only once. Well, whoop-de-doo-dah day. Smith played one time with the flu and did a very good job. Barry Sanders was nothing compared to Emmitt Smith, but he was number 2. So there you have it. That's Shagdog's opinions. If you don't like them, too bad. Yeah, Emmitt Smith. So yeah, I did have 3 Cowboys on there. I'm a Cowboys fan. Another honorable mention, I didn't put him on the list, and I didn't even see him in the top 20, was Bo Jackson. I don't think he was on the top 50 list, which I can't believe. Bo Jackson was pretty good. He one of my top honorable mention. Unfortunately, got the hit pointer. Played baseball part-time, which he shouldn't have done. Bo Jackson should have been out of full time. Maybe he wouldn't have had that career ending injury. It sucked, though. Bo Jackson was fun to watch, too. He's another one. Good old Bo Jackson. Let me remove that. So that's Shagdog, top 10 run backs of all time, in my opinion. It's fun to watch. Would Jim Brown be up there at the top? Yeah. With a couple of other ones I mentioned, honorable mentions, yeah, they'd be in there. Some of them, either they played on crappy teams. I didn't see them enough on TV. I know of their records and their accolades. But my favorite 10 to watch. And I actually might change it. Marshall Faulk wouldn't even be on there, folks. If it wasn't for his receiving accolades also, along with his running back, he'd probably be number 10. But I did watch him enough where I could say, okay, well, he was good. The running back skills plus the receiving skills puts him at number 4 overall. But if you had to really truly know who I really love watching that whole list, my number one person to watch, I can't put him at number 1 because of his stats, was Mike Alstott, the Great White Hope. He was fun to watch. I don't care what you say. Even if it was only a 2-yard gain, that was a well-earned 2 yards, folks. All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for this one because I got nothing more to talk about. And it's about bedtime for me, bedtime for Bonzo. Shagdog, Spitters Hall Beer Review. We'll see you on the next one. It might be a week or two for the next one because I think I'm done for a while. All right, we'll see you then.